This is the story on how I hacked my school website. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So this one's kind of like a story time video. I wanted to dive a little bit into some history about me. This story time is about how I hacked my school's website. Sounds kind of interesting, doesn't it? So the story begins when I'm obviously still in high school, and I think this was like actually just before senior high school. Over here in New Zealand, we call it college, but I guess people watching this video is from America, so I'm just gonna use that structure. It's high school, it's senior high school, and just before I hit senior, I was still a junior, but I was like still learning about Linux and programming, and I was messing around a few things, you know, I had a rubber ducky, was crafting just like funny, malicious USB type stuff, and then I used to just plug it into my friend's laptop and just have a giggle in the classroom. That was kind of funny. I would even try and tempt someone to plug in the USB pretending like I had nothing to do with it, and then they plug it in. I just have a reverse shell and I'm just browsing their Windows 10 gaming computer and their gaming laptop, and I thought at the time it was hilarious, and they found it funny too. That's the best part. So, I mean, I had a pretty good, decent time. But all the classes I took was just boring. Honestly, I guess you could even call myself a misfit at that point, because I didn't really fit in. Didn't fit in with anyone. I just couldn't be bothered. I think high school, or just school in general, like the topics they taught was, to me, it was not applicable. It was not relevant on stuff I wanted to learn more about, things like that. And I just think some of the students were just like vile, to be honest. Like, I know, you're still growing up and learning things, but I guess I was just one of those students that was just like snap of the finger, mature, just straight up, just maturity just started rising. And I would also like to say that I guess it was also God, that was also guiding me in the right direction and also leveling up my character as a human being. So yeah, I definitely say that. But anyways, getting back to the story. So the story begins when at school we had these like timetables. You call them a timetable. So it's kind of like a calendar, and it's basically every individual slot of classes you had next. So at a specific time, at 9 o'clock you had English, or at 10 o'clock you had science or mathematics or something. So it was a times table, and I didn't have it on me at that time. So this was during just the beginning of senior high school, or being a senior. And I was like, well, I don't know what I have next. I think I had social studies, I don't know. It's basically history class. And so the typical place that you would go to is the school library, where they had iMac computers set up for you to log into your school account on the school's website portal. So I was like, okay, I don't have my timetable with me. I don't know what class I have next, so I'm just going to go to the school library. So I went to the school library. I sat down at one of the iMacs. They had like a row of iMac computers. It was like 2020 models, maybe 2019 iMac models. I'm not sure. Just for you nerds out there, I'll just be specific for this storyline. And so I go to the main school website, which is, I'll give you technical details. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you what school it was or go into the specific details about it. But anyways, I go to the main school website, I go to the school login portal, and I log in to see what my class was, to see the next class that I had. But then something caught my eye, and I looked to the top left of the screen, and I'm like, oh. And then I noticed in the URL, it said index.php. And I was like, PHP? And now I was familiar with PHP. Now I wasn't like a pro expert at writing PHP code, but at the time I knew about PHP, how it worked, and what it was all about. And I was like, why are they using PHP for the school's backend? I just thought that was silly. Now, I have nothing against the programming language PHP itself, but it was actually PHP version 5, by the way. And it wasn't like the main school website, they were just using like Wix or something. But the school portal, where you went to go log in to see your account and school information, your student details, caregiver details, your school login credentials, everything was there on the school portal. So I was like, okay, the whole school network, everything is literally just tied to this one backend, and they've got PHP. So I'm like, okay. And I was like, that's interesting. Index.php. So after I found out what the next class was, I most likely skipped that class because I used to skip classes because I was just bored. That's how bored I was. I just skipped classes. In New Zealand, we call it wagging. So it's just a term that we use to skip class. They'll be like, "Oh, bro, do you want to go wag?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, let's go." And I would just like wag, just skip class with a group of friends at the time. And honestly, it was actually just hilarious, honestly, crying my eyes out. We used to like run through the forest, like there was this massive forest behind the school. We should just run off into the forest and just like explore and just talk about life. And we were like the misfits. Obviously, we didn't do anything stupid. We didn't take any, form of substances or anything like that. Nothing like that at all. Just like having the curiosity to explore and honestly just escape prison. Like that's what that was. Like school was literally like a prison cell. Honestly, I just wanted to get out. It was torture, man. Honestly, like the only thing that wasn't torture was literally IT class. Like that was the only class that I actually excelled in. I had the highest grade in technology class for programming. I was the first one in IT class to get stuff done. I was the first student to finish my web design project. I learned everything so fast and I started walking around the room helping other students learning to code. In fact, at one point the IT teacher stood up from his desk and he walked over and he looked at me. So someone asked a question about like, "Oh, sir, how do I fix this problem?" And then the teacher looks over to me, he's like, it's like he just points to me, he's like, come out, help this kid, help this student." I was like, all right, bet. So anyways, that was just another short story there. Now, where it gets interesting is when I go home, I so once I actually leave school around about like 3:20 p.m., probably around about 3 o'clock, I walk home, I come home, I sit down at my computer, and I boot up Kali Linux late at night on a virtual machine, and I just go to the browser, go to the school portal URL, and I literally copy the URL and I chuck it in a tool. I put the URL into a tool called Uniscan, which was like an old tool to scan directories and stuff like that. Like other tools like GoBuster, Derb, whatever. It was just a directory search tool, but Uniscan was what I was using at the time. And by the way, this was like Kali Linux 2019.3. That was the version of Kali Linux that was available at the time. That's when I was using it. So I guess, yeah, it was around about 2019 I did this. Like near the end of 2019. And so I was like, okay, so I started to do a directory fuzz scan, and then I found other hidden directories on that school login portal, which led me to this old version of the school website back from like 2009. And I was like, why are they storing this on their server? This is crazy. So it was like an old PHP school version of the website back in 2009, and it was stored on that directory, like in this folder. And I could literally access it, and it would just load the old version of the school website. And I was like, dude, this has vulnerabilities, surely. So I start browsing around on that old school website version, and I found vulnerabilities such as cross-site scripting. In fact, client-side XSS and stored XSS attack. And guess what? To top it off, SQL injection, baby. SQL injection. And I start putting just like simple SQL queries into the old school website. And then you just see all these orange boxes start popping up. I thought it was funny. But like you just see all these PHP errors, like these PHP MySQL errors just popping up when I'm like typing in simple SQL queries. And I wasn't even an expert at SQL like injection techniques at the time. I was just putting in a bunch of SQL queries that I found online, just like trying to index everything, just dump whatever. And then I tried to use SQL map, but I don't remember if that actually worked. I can't recall. But all I do remember was like all these errors showing up every time I refresh the website, and essentially you just see all these orange boxes popping up. And it got so bad that it actually like filled the whole website. And I was like, well, at least this is not the main website anymore. The main website's, totally fine. It doesn't affect the main website. This was like the old school project website made in PHP version 5 or something. I was like, okay, what else can I find? So anyways, what I actually started to do was, I was like, I need to document this. So I started to document it. and I basically got like this old printer out the garage, and I just start printing it in like a Google Doc PDF. And I literally just took a screenshot of my findings, and it was like a quote unquote first pen test report. And I went to school the next day around like 1 o'clock, like lunchtime, and I went to the IT department and I was like, hey, take a look at this, look at my findings. And they were like, the server administrator, the head admin, the IT admin of the entire school network was like, how did you find this? And he was like very annoyed at first. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Thank you for showing me this. And I was like, oh, damn. Like, I'm not cooked. And eventually he's like, oh, I mean, I don't mind you testing it. I mean, if you find anything else, let me know. So I was like, okay, great. So I went home and I found another vulnerability called PHP file upload. It was a PHP file upload vulnerability. And I was like, oh, damn. So I used a tool called Weavely to generate a PHP shell, and then I uploaded it to that old version of the school website. And yay, I gained access to the school network. The school server, yes, that's right. But what ended up happening is once I actually received a connection, a shell, the terminal lost connection. I think what happened was the firewall blocked access or something. Something interfered with that connection. I had access for like, I don't know, a minute or so. I was browsing around. I was taking a look. I didn't really find much. It wasn't like a thing where it's like, oh, Declan, did you change your grades type of thing. No. The system wasn't set up like that. The only thing that was there was like, it allowed you to like browse student directories and stuff like that. But that was just nothing serious, nothing. I don't actually remember what else I found, but I won't go into detail anyways. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. So I went ahead, and near the end of the day, around about 3 o'clock the next day at school, I went to the IT department again. I spoke to the head admin. He's like, oh yeah, come in, sit down. And I walk in. He's got like these old Macintosh like computers just like along the wall. And I'm like, he's like a big computer nerd, right? He's really fascinated with old technology. He just finds it pretty cool, like dude, what? Computer evolution. Anyways, and he's just got like all this hardware everywhere. And then I look to my right, he's got the main school server just sitting there in the server room. And I'm like, that's probably what I had access to. That's gangster. I was like, that was funny. So my PHP shell just had access to that little thing. Well, actually, it wasn't little. It was freaking huge. It was massive. Big server rack. Literally, it was like a literal server. And that was the server that was like literally the whole school network. Like he had his own independent like infrastructure for the school network. And I had access to it just through an old version of the school website that was hiding on that server. So I thought that was funny. But, I say that it was funny because it's just, I at the time, I'm not even like a pro hacker. Like, I'm not even like into this type of stuff to the full extent. I was still learning and exploring. And I guess you could call me a script kiddie. I was just browsing around, doing things, exploring, learning new things. There's nothing wrong with being a script kiddie. And then I started to actually just level up my skills even more when there was more vulnerabilities and I was learning new things about OWASP top 10. And I realized this website has OWASP top 10. It has all these 10 vulnerabilities, I swear. I'm not even kidding. I'm not capping. So anyways, that old school website was literally just a playground. It was like a CTF. It was almost like I was doing Hack the Box or Try Me. But it was a legit application that had access to the school network. So I sit down, we have a chat, and I'm like, yeah, so I found these directories and, the file upload vulnerability, I had access to that directory. You should probably remove that. I can actually show you how to fix it. I was doing some Google researching on how to fix the file upload flaw and that version of PHP. And he's like, well, thank you for showing me this, but no, I'm not going to tell you anything about what was in that directory or anything about the application. I was like, okay, no, that's totally fine. And he's like, well, anyways, thanks for coming in. And then he was like very short and blunt. So I was like, okay, cool. So I walk out, no harm done. And he didn't really care. Like, honestly, when I found these vulnerabilities, he was kind of pleased at the same time that I found it because he went to go fix it. So I guess I was just that guy that got scot-free, really. But I used to do other things before. Like I used to do phishing attacks at school. I used to phish like popular students like Instagram accounts and gain access to it and start text messaging them pretending to be that person. I was just, messing around doing silly things, and then I actually got into severe trouble with the phishing attacks. Uh, that was pretty bad, and I had to literally not touch a computer at the school for like I don't know, maybe like a month or a couple of weeks. I think it was a month. I don't remember. But I had to like restrict everything on my laptop and I wasn't allowed to use Linux and things like that. And I had to sit at a desk, like this desk that was close to the principal's office. Like it was away from all the classrooms. It was just like on the other side of the school. And I sat at this like small desk and he's like, "You're gonna do your homework here." It was like a vice principal. He's like, "You're gonna do your homework here." And you don't say anything. And I was just like, dude, what's with the authoritative attitude? Like, come on. Like, yeah, I don't appreciate that. I got really annoyed, and it was just being cocky. I got into trouble because of that. But honestly, it was a learning experience. If you do dumb shit, you're gonna end up in prison. Like, I'm sorry to hear that. Black hat hackers watching this video or gray hat hackers, don't do anything stupid. Like, literally, you're going to get yourself into trouble, and you don't want to be behind a rusty ass bar for like 30 years, dude. Like, that is not a vision that you want to strive for. You've really got to lock in, and especially lock in with Jesus behind me. He'll definitely help you out. Seriously, dude. Like, this is not something you want to be doing. Like, black hat activity, most paths that you do that, like, dude, stop. Like, you don't want to end up behind a rusty bar for the rest of your life, eating some rubbish food. Like, come on. That is not something you should strive for. So anyways, I found the vulnerability, gained access to the school server, browsed around a little bit, but that was about it. Like, that's how I hacked the school's website. It wasn't the main website, it was like an old version of the school website that allowed me to gain access to the main school server just through a PHP file upload vulnerability flaw. And I was messing around with Burp Suite, finding other loopholes and other flaws alongside the application. I think at one point it had like local file inclusion, but I didn't really look too much into details with that because I didn't really know too much about that flaw at the time. But I was just like doing a bunch of just like SQL queries. I just see all these MySQL errors popping up out of nowhere. Yeah, literally just from using a tool called Uniscan to finding a hidden directory, a page that had an old version of the school website back since 2009. That was crazy. Such a simple thing. And I didn't really think much of it. And by the way, I had permission to continue to test that website after I found that flaw. So I guess that was kind of like a gray hat approach. But obviously, I don't suggest that either. I think the first thing that you should do is ask permission and just straight up just tell them, hey, there's a flaw. Like, I just managed to find this flaw on accident or something. You just want to let them know about that issue before you continue testing it or using security auditing tools to probe that flaw further. But yeah, that's how I hacked the school website. And I also did, like I mentioned, I did a bunch of phishing attacks as well, which is obviously not something you want to do because something simple as that, you deceive someone to click on a link to then entering the credentials. And I'll tell you another quick short story here. I remember this, but I remember there was one popular student. Their account on Instagram, I kid you not, I literally could have brute forced this. The password was cats1234. And I was like, dude, this could have literally been in the rocky.txt file. Like, it probably is. Most likely. No doubt in my mind. And I could have just brute forced the Instagram account. Like, I could have just guessed it. But anyways, I fished that student at the time, and their password was literally cats1234. And they had a lot of, like, school attention followers, etc. They were like the popular kid, I guess. But it's funny because I started to become the popular kid at school when I did all this hacking stuff. Like, it got to a point where I was doing man-in-the-middle attacks and poisoning the Wi-Fi network, and I told them about it, and they were fine. Like, they weren't too serious about it. And, like, because I think in their minds, they thought, like, oh, he's just a student, like, he doesn't have this type of knowledge base. I don't think he's competent enough to achieve a level of skill like this. So then I had like a prove them wrong attitude at the time, so I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna prove them wrong. I do have this skill set. And there was like other students in the class that would like make fun of me saying, "Oh, you can't hack. You know, you're a skid. You don't even know how to code, blah blah blah." So they would say all this stuff, and I would literally just search up YouTube tutorials on how to do it, and I learned how to hack that way. And I also learned how to code. So that's actually how I learned stuff as well, just from YouTube. And now I'm that guy teaching other people. So I think that's pretty cool. And I think you should aspire to do that as well. If you have knowledge, you should share that knowledge, because one day you're going to cease to exist. Well, on this earth, of course. But I used to sit in class, literally with Kali Linux open on my laptop, and the Wi-Fi network would be so slow. And it won't even be me. Like, the Wi-Fi network across the school was just not that great. But since I had Kali Linux open on my laptop, people were like, "Oh, he's doing something with the Wi-Fi." And I'm like, "No, I'm not doing anything with the Wi-Fi. What are you talking about?" They're like, "He's got Kali Linux on his laptop. He's doing something." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm not doing anything. Close my laptop." Like, I didn't do anything. Look. I mean, how do you look? Yeah, I can see the packet in there. Like, other students literally thought I was like doing something with the Wi-Fi because they heard stories of me from other students of me poisoning the Wi-Fi network and sniffing credentials and stuff like that, which I did do, by the way. uh, but it wasn't like illegal activity. Like, I wasn't doing it to steal information. I was just doing it to see if I could do it. Right? That's all I was doing it. I was just doing it to see if I could do it, and I went to go tell them. I went to go tell the IT admin at the head office at the school about this matter, about this issue, and he appreciated me for doing that. But just the curiosity of like how hacking works, like really sparked my interest to learn more about it. And I was like, how does hacking actually work? Like, what is this all about? What is programming? How can I tell this computer what to do and it actually does stuff? You know what I mean? And that's actually how I got into web development and website hacking and stuff like that. Just like out of curiosity on how that stuff works. So curiosity sparked the interest to learn more about it. And also students pissing me off saying I couldn't do it. So that also inspired me. It's funny how the students said, "Oh, you can't do it," and then I did it, and they were just like, "Oh, damn, don't mess with that kid." You know, it's like one of those Netflix films you watch. It's like this weird kid, introverted kid at the back corner of the room. Like, he's just Kali Linux straight up on his laptop, and he's just like doing something. You don't even know what he's doing. It's funny too, because I remember also there was a time when I sat in English class and I opened my laptop, and I had a blue HP small laptop. It wasn't great. That's why I had to install Linux on it. I had to wipe it because Windows was slow on it. The hardware was not great at all. And I was like, I opened like Wi-Fi, what's it called? Like Fern Wi-Fi something, I don't know, on Kali Linux 2019, like, or Ghost or something. Like, I created like a fake Wi-Fi access point, and other students like connected to it. Oh my goodness. And they were like, "It's not working, the Wi-Fi is slow." I think that's kind of where they got it from. The funniest thing as well is when I created the fake Wi-Fi network, do you know what I called it? I would like come up with funny names. Like, I would like call the Wi-Fi network like D's Nuts or something. So like when the students go on their laptop, they just click the Wi-Fi button to connect to a Wi-Fi network, and you just see D's Nuts. Honestly, it was just immaturity. But honestly, when I look back, I thought that was hilarious. And like other people saw it, and they were asking the teacher, "Why is there a Wi-Fi network called D's Nuts?" And they're like, the teacher was like, "Settle down, no jokes." And they're like, "No, I'm being serious. Like, click on the Wi-Fi." And the teacher would click on it. Like, they had the projector on the screen. You just see like the Wi-Fi name, just D's Nuts, just on the screen. Dude, I don't know, bro, but that's what I was doing. Yeah, but anyways, that was my story, guys. I just wanted to share more about my high school experience and how I actually got started into ethical hacking, just hacking in general, out of pure curiosity and interest. And yeah, nothing I did was malicious. I asked permission at the school if I could do certain things, especially right after the phishing incident. I took it more seriously and started to approach it with a mature mindset and not just do things out of the blue without asking for permission and things like that. So I definitely learned a lot, and I started to level up my skills in hacking in general with programming and Python and JavaScript and using front-end frameworks and using backends like Supabase, PostgreSQL, MySQL, a little bit of PHP. Not an expert at it, of course. learning to read documentation. So I learned quite a lot and I started to improve over time, and then eventually I just left. Everyone right now, they're probably going to university. Obviously, I didn't go to university. I'm not going to university because, again, I'm just one of those misfits that wants to do my own thing, really. I want to create something that's meaningful and impactful to society, so that when they can look back at it, they can just be like, oh, well, that guy did that, and I aspire to do that as well. And I also aspire his values and his beliefs, and I want to contribute that to society as well to make it prosperous. So that's kind of like my mindset to that. Nothing prideful or nothing to gain of this world, because what are you to gain and lose your soul if you had everything, right? You can have the nice house, the nice car, you know, whatever, and then you just lose your soul in there, and that's not something I strive for. I don't strive for the patterns of this world. I just have the skills that I believe that God has given me to share with others openly and compassionately as possible, to better society moving forward. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this story time, and if you want more story times like this, please like and subscribe and comment. Comment what you found interesting in this video. Or do you resonate with this story? Comment your story down below. I would love to read your story down below in the comments to see if you have a similar story. Or maybe if you're still in high school, like, please don't do what I did, of course. Like I said, if you are going to do something, just ask permission. Don't do anything silly. And if you do find a vulnerability, you should just report it and tell them about it, because I find it really, like, I can just imagine being the IT admin at the school and someone literally hacks my stuff, and they ruin it, or they like damage it, or they could like damage user data on the school network that I took forever spending hours to set up on a MySQL database. Just simple things like that. It can literally ruin someone's day. So you don't want to do that. Ask permission, do good, and yeah, just learn as much as you can. And just ignore haters. Like, just ignore them. Just do your thing, please. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next.